ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। निरञ्जनं नित्यमनन्तरूपं भक्तानुकम्पाधृतविग्रहं वै ईशावतारं परमेशमीड्यं तं रामकृष्णं शिरसा नमामि। यथाग्नेर्दाहिका शक्ति रामकृष्णे स्थिता हिया सर्वविद्यास्वरूपान्तां शारदां प्रणमाम्यहम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। यैरिमे गुरुभिः पूर्वं पदवाक्यप्रमाणतः व्याख्याता सर्ववेदान्ताः तान् नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। यस्यात्मभूतस्य गुरोः प्रसादात् अहं विमुक्तोऽस्मि शरीरबन्धात्। सर्वोपदेष्टुः पुरुषोत्तमस्य तस्याङ्घ्रियुग्मं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। Vedantic revelation to the entire humanity is every individual is none other than the infinite divine consciousness. One who knows this revelation, one in whose life this revelation is a fact, is a free person, free from all sorrows, free from all doubts, free from all types of slavery. All the Upanishads repeatedly assert this idea, Tad Tvam Asi. You happen to be fortunately that which you are seeking for. If you are seeking for eternal existence without any death, in spite of the death of the body, if you want to exist eternally and it is your nature, you can do so, or you are so. You are that eternal entity. If you are in search of Shanti, eternal Shanti, fortunately it happened to be your nature. If you are in search of Ananda, without any external objects, without any second entity, if you want to be full and complete, it is possible because it is your nature. This is the assertion repeatedly revealed in the Upanishads. In the last class, we have seen one particular quotation from every Upanishad, not only from every Upanishad, from Gita and Bhagavatam, and ended the class with a question. Is this a truth at all about myself? That is the question. However much you tell, still, I cannot claim that I am infinite. If I claim that I am infinite and go to my house and tell to my spouse herself or himself will take me to mental hospital. Suppose you go back to home telling that I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. Like that, if you go, what will happen? You all know. The family members will think, aha, what happened? போகும்போது நல்லா தானே இருந்தார். When he went to ashrama, he was all right. Suddenly, we don't know, doctor, what happened? And now he is telling, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. So even my own family members will not accept. Leave them alone. I myself cannot accept. Any small problem, I cannot own this. I am infinite. I cannot own this idea that I am infinite. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the parrot is to chant the Lord's name because of abhyasa. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. How much time it can chant like that? As long as cat will not come and catch the parrot. Once the cat comes and catches the parrot, naturally parrot will not shout Krishna, Krishna. How it will shout? Keech, keech, keech. So as long as we are sitting in the class, it is nice to hear, because it is told with lot of jokes and funs and stories. It is nice to hear Vedanta. And in real life, how can I accept this as a fact of the life? That is the question. We ended with this question. What is the guarantee that Vedanta reveals the truth? What is the guarantee that Vedanta reveals the truth? That is the question. In other words, is Vedanta competent enough to reveal this truth, or is this a truth at all? Is this a truth at all about myself? That is the question. So the question amounts to questioning the validity of the Vedanta Pramanam. Pramanam is a Sanskrit word. In English, the word means a means of knowledge, a source of knowledge. Valid source of knowledge is called Pramanam. When anyone asks, what is the validity of this revelation? What is the validity of the means of this revelation? Two questions are there. What is the validity of the revelation? What is the revelation? That you are infinite. You are infinite is the revelation. And what is the means of revelation? Vedanta Shabda Pramanam. Whether that Vedanta has a Pramanatvam, has a capacity to reveal something, fact. These two questions today we will see and try to answer. These are all the questions which were asked thousands and thousands of years before. What is the validity of Vedantic words? Now, if you ask this question to Guru Parampara, the Guru Parampara appreciates the questioner. Nice, now you are thinking at least. Now the thinking faculty is activated. You don't swallow. If there is no thinking, people swallow the ideas. I will give some examples how we swallow the ideas. God is everywhere but sitting in the heaven. It's all contradictions. God is everywhere but he is sitting in the heavens. He doesn't have form but he is sitting. He doesn't have form but he is sitting. He doesn't have form but he is sitting with a crown. Got the contradictions? Still, if you don't get contradiction, then I have to pray for you. So these are all contradictions in the very statement. If anything which doesn't have form, how can a formless entity can be told as sitting somewhere else? If there is a formless entity, it doesn't have head at all, then a headless entity cannot have crown at all. So where is the question of having a crown by a formless entity? Generally we swallow this. This is called swallowing pumpkins, not ordinary grapes or small things. You swallow pumpkin and therefore it goes inside without getting digested everywhere problems. So when you ask the Guru Parampara, what is the proof, validity for this revelation? How can you prove that this revelation is a factual one? When this question is asked, Guru Parampara asks another question. Counter question. Guru Parampara asks counter question. What is that question? Okay. Are you in this world? Yes, Swami, I am in this world. You are also in this world. Whether the world exists? Yes, it exists. What is this question? It exists. It exists? Yes, it exists. It exists, therefore you see, or you see, therefore it exists. Please tell. It exists, therefore you see, this table exists, therefore you see, or because you see, this table exists. Which category it is? Then what we will answer? It exists, therefore I see. In dream, I see, therefore it exists. Dream table exists how? I see as a projection, therefore it exists. In cinema screen, I see, therefore it exists. But in real world, table exists, therefore I see. Okay, it exists, therefore you see. Okay, how you know that it exists? I see. I see by my own eyes. What is the proof that your eyes are not cheating? What is the proof your eyes are not cheating? Because we see our eyes are cheating many times. There is no sunrise at all, but we see that sunrise. There is no water at all in the desert, but we see some water, mirage water it is called. So what is the proof for the existence of external and objective world? What is the proof? Sense organs are the proof. Sense organs are the pramanam. 5 sense organs are there. 5 sense organs are there. They are valid instruments. How can you say that they are valid instruments? They may be projecting something. How can you say? What is the answer? Even the most modern science don't have answer. Even this question is asked, most of the scientists simply rejected the question itself. What question it is? Because we cannot answer. What is the proof for the validity of sense organs? How can you take it for granted whatever you see exists, whatever you hear exists, whatever you taste exists, whatever you smell exists, whatever you touch exists? What is the proof? So most of the modern scientists simply bewildered by this question. And they say, really, we don't have any proof. We take it for granted that they don't tell lie. Who don't tell lie? My sense organs generally don't tell lie. Now and then it may tell lie. While seeing mirage water, it is telling lie. While seeing sunrise, it is telling lie. Now and then it may tell lie, but in general, my sense organs are final. Whatever they reveal to me, that is the proof. I don't have any other means to even verify. Therefore, some scientists accept that we don't have any other verification method. They verify through the sense organs. But who will verify the very sense organ? It is like I measure the room by a scale. I measure the room by a scale. What is the proof that measurement in the scale is correct? So I have to measure the scale. How can I measure the scale? You got it? So you are getting knowledge about the objects of the world, external objects, through sense organs. Whatever they show, that is the final. How can you accept that is the final? Actually, modern science don't have any answer, but our forefathers, rishis, have answer. Sense organs are valid source of knowledge, and whatever data they are bringing are valid. What they reveal is existing objectively. The revelation of sense organs are valid revelation, unlike dream. Unlike dream objects, this world, this waking world exists because my sense organs show them. My sense organs show them because it is a valid instrument. What are all the criteria to know the sense organs are valid? How can you say they are valid? Our forefathers have given 3 criteria. anadhigata abadita arthavat jnanabodhakam pramanam. Any source of knowledge reveals something new, one criteria, anadhigatam. Whatever is revealed cannot be contradicted, second criteria, and whatever is revealed is useful to me, third criteria. Anadhigata abadita arthavat. So take these three measurements and we measure the scale. So far generally we measure the objects through that scale, but we are measuring now very scale itself. How we measure? By these three criteria. So 5 sense organs are there: eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. Whatever eyes reveal cannot be revealed by any other thing in the world, correct? Forms and colors are revealed by eyes, cannot be revealed by any other sense organs. And each sense organ works in an independent area. Eyes are working in the area called forms and colors. Ears are working in the area of sound. Tongue is working in the area of taste. Nose is working in the area of smell. And skin is working in the area of touch. Each one is independent. One is not threat to another. One doesn't contradict the another. One cannot verify the another. Very subtle point. ஞாயிற்றுக்கிழமை வந்து மாட்டிக்கினீங்க, என்ன பண்றது? But very useful. What is the pramanam? What is the proof that sense organs are pramanam? Because they are independently existing. Its own intrinsic nature is the proof. What is the intrinsic nature? It works in a separate field. You cannot substitute. You cannot say, I am bored seeing the world through eyes. I want to have a change. I will see the world through ears. Can you say that? I am bored hearing sounds and sounds through ears. For a change, for next 1 week, I will hear the sounds through nose. You can create sound through nose, but you cannot hear the sounds through nose. That's the point. So you cannot interchange. Therefore, each one is independently existing in its own field. Whatever eyes show is the final one. You cannot verify. Suppose eyes show that this book is yellow color. I have a doubt whether it is yellow color or not. What I can do? Again I can clean my eyes and see, or put my spectacles and see, or make others to see. Can I ask my ears to see? Oh ears, please see the color of the book. Can I ask? I cannot ask because I don't have choice. So each sense organ works in each field, and there are only 5 sense organs and 5 fields only in the entire creation. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandhatmakam. In the entire creation, so many things are there, na? All of them are put in 5 categories by our forefathers. Either it comes under name and form, or it comes under sound, or it comes under taste, or it comes under smell, or it comes under touch. For each field, one sense organ is given. So you cannot verify them, you cannot interchange them, therefore you cannot refute them. Suppose a person says, I don't believe in my eyes. What will be his condition? Okay, no problem. You can tie your eyes like Gandhari. Suppose you don't have faith in the validity of the sense organ, what happens? One portion of the world is gone for you. That's why we find, unfortunately, those who are blind by birth, what happens? For them, life is more troublesome. Those who are deaf and dumb, unfortunately by birth, their life is very pathetic. They are challenged people. We are unchallenged people. They are challenged people, challenged by the nature. So they have to struggle to even for survival, and their life, their world will be what? Absence of on that particular portion of the world. A person who doesn't have seeing capacity, for him there is no Rupa Prapancha at all. He cannot enjoy one cinema picture. Imagine what a punishment. Day in, day out, we are go on seeing serials and cinemas and fightings and so many things. But the poor man cannot enjoy that type of world. A person doesn't have hearing capacity, cannot hear FM. Imagine. He cannot hear one stotra. He cannot hear even Shastra. So it is a pathetic life. Absence of even one sense organ creates problem to human life, because each one is valid by itself, intrinsic validity. They fulfill all these criteria. Say for example, take eyes. It fulfills the criteria. First criterion, what it is? Anadhikatam. It should reveal something other sense organs don't reveal. Eyes reveal forms and colors which other sense organ don't reveal at all. Then whatever is revealed cannot be contradicted by other sense organs. Nose cannot contradict, ears cannot contradict, tongue cannot contradict. Okay. Third criterion is whatever is revealed should be useful for me. For me means to the entire humanity, not for the individual. Whatever is revealed should be useful to the humanity. Because for a balded wala, shampoo is not useful. So you cannot say shampoo is not there. Shampoo is mithya. Why? I am balded. No, your eyes are showing, yes, I am seeing shampoo bottle. No, other sense organs don't contradict also, but still it is not useful for me. Therefore it is mithya, you cannot say. It is useful for the humanity, one portion of the humanity. So, anadhikata, abadita, arthavat, jnana bhotakam. All these five sense organs are there. They can reveal only five objects in the world. Only five properties in the world. It's all properties. Form is a property. Big, suppose if you say big, bigness is a property. What you will ask? Big what? Big elephant or big cat or big mosquito? It's a property. Sound is a property. Taste is a property of some food or some eatable. Correct? Similarly, everything is a property. If the five sense organs reveal the five properties of this creation, what is the actual substance? This is the question asked by our rishis, forefathers. For this question also, science don't have any answer. They are bewildered by this question. If you ask what is the substance of this creation, by this creation is made up of what material, you please tell. Nobody knows. Everyone says, everyone proposes one theory. Big Bang theory, string theory. So many theories are proposed. Each theory is defeated by another theory. Baditam bhavati. So Vedanta asks, Rishis ask, Guru Parampara asks this question. If you are enjoying the five things, what are the five things? Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandhatmakam, Jagat, your five properties you are enjoying. What is the substance? No answer. Sense organs cannot give any answer. Are you satisfied with these five properties only in your life? Don't you want to know who is the substance? What is the substance? If anybody says, yes, I am happy Swami, I am happy with my cinema, I am happy with my FM, I am happy with my ice cream, I am happy with my touch of the pet dog. So Vedanta says, Dirghayushman bhava. ரொம்ப நாள் இருப்பா. Dirghayushman bhava. But all human mind is not satisfied with only 5 things. It wants to know. It wants to know the truth. What is the substance? Clinging to all these 5 properties are there. This is one question. Another question Vedanta asks, okay, all these 5 things you are enjoying. Don't you have any curiosity to know who is enjoying? See, what you are enjoying is the object. Don't you know the curiosity to know the subject? If anybody says, yes, I want to know who is enjoying this. I cannot say my body is enjoying. If body is enjoying, dead body also should ask coffee. I cannot say my, breathing power is enjoying. If breathing power is enjoying, coma wala should ask coffee. The person who is lying in emergency ward with coma, he should ask coffee. So I cannot say any of these 5 sense organs are my body or prana, for that matter mind is enjoying all those things. There must be someone who is independent entity holding all these 5 properties and holding the capacity to enjoy all these 5 properties. If anybody is interested in knowing that person, Vedanta says, come to me. You have to come to Vedanta to know the subject of the creation, to know the substance of the creation. You should come to Vedanta. You should come to Vedanta. There is no other way. How can you say that Vedanta is valid instrument of knowledge? Apply the same 3 category, same 3 criteria you apply. How you validated your sense organ? Because of these 3 criteria. What are all the criteria? Anadhigata, abhadita, arthavat. That which is revealed must be new, unknown to me, and that which is revealed cannot be contradicted, and that which is revealed is useful for my life. It should fulfill my life to some extent at least. Same 3 criteria you apply. If you apply those criteria, Vedanta stands your test and qualifies as a pramanam. Anadhigatam. What Vedanta reveals? You are infinite is the revelation. Correct? Do you know? Can you know this? That you are infinite by sense organ? Can your sense organ reveal that you are infinite? Sense organs can reveal you are stout, you are bulky, you are tall, you are small. Like that sense organs can reveal. Can you know that you are infinite without form? Can you know that you are one with the Lord? Can your sense organ reveal this? But Vedanta says you are all the time one with the Lord. No time you are separated. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. You don't have birth at all. In spite of your celebrating birthday every year, because of ignorance, you have considered that your birth of the body as your birthday. The fact is, you don't have birth at all. You don't have death at all. Can any sense organ tell this information to us? No sense organ can reveal, nor the mind can tell this. That is why whichever culture don't have this pramanam, Vedanta, scripture, that in that culture, if anybody says, I am infinite, I am one with God, what does it mean? You know, it is a blasphemy. People will kill. Bhagavan tried. In other culture, he tried to teach this. He told, I and my Father are one. I am the Son of the Father in heaven. Like that he told something they could not understand. Generally, if you don't understand, what you will do? In Indian culture, if you don't understand, people are very sober. They will little bit go behind and Swami ஏதோ சொல்றாரு நமக்கு புரியாததா இருக்குது, okay, no problem, we need not accept it, we need not understand. If possible, make one pranam, hand over some banana and you just silently go, na. But in other cultures are ferocious. So what they did, this, they threw the stones. What? You are son of God? Like that, they crucified him. Therefore, Bhagavan thought, oh, is it dangerous, appa? India, எத்தனை தடவை வேணாலும் வரலாம். In India, you can come. How many time? No problem. People may not hear. They will not obey. That is different. But at least they will do arati. They will offer some fruits. Arati they will do. But they will not hear what you say. It is okay. Bhagavan, whatever you say is okay for you. I want to be your bhakta only. I want to do arati so that I can offer you for fruits and prasads and laddus and other thing. And afterwards I can show to you. Then I can eat. It's okay. Good culture because we don't hurt the Lord. But in other cultures, it is a blasphemy. Wherever Vedanta is not there, this idea that my oneness with the Lord is eternal. Janma after Janma, I am with Him only. Only I am just playing some drama in various bodies. Every moment He is with me. அங்குங்கெனாதபடி எங்கும் நிறைந்த பரம்பொருளாய். I cannot separate Him from my very existence at all. Wherever I see, He is there. தூணிலும் இருப்பான், துரும்பிலும் இருப்பான். He is there in every material in the creation. In fact, I breathe because of His existence. So this idea is there only where Vedanta is operative. In other cultures, Vedanta is not operative. Therefore, these ideas are blasphemy. Without Vedantic scripture, you can never know this idea. What idea? That you are aparichinna, akhanda vastu. You are not parichinna. You are not a small, insignificant entity. You are infinite entity, significant entity, only significant entity. If Vedanta doesn't reveal this, suppose Vedanta also says, yes, you are small, you are papi, you are born, then Vedanta cannot be a pramanam because it doesn't say anything new. It doesn't say anything new. Any pramanam should tell something new. In our parampara, we have a small funny story. There was a Swami, Advaitic Swami, monk. Any class he takes, he will take only Advaitam, Advaitam, Advaitam. So all the time he will talk about the oneness of the individual with the Lord. Varieties of Sishyas were there. One Sishya did not like this. What is this? All the time I am one with the Lord, one with the Lord, he is telling. I will not study in this Gurukula, I will go to other Gurukula. Like that he went. So he went to another Gurukula wherein lots of other things are taught. Bhagavan is there, he is in Vaikunta, he is in Shivaloka, and what you call, he protects the bhaktas, and you should be a bhakta. You are not God, you are not son of God, you are a servant of the God, you are different from the God. Like that they were teaching. So that Shishya, that boy was very happy. Aha, this is what I wanted to learn. Because the teacher was supporting his own ideas. What was his idea? That I am papi, I am small, I am what you call born, I have to reach God. Like that ideas are there, na? It's all inborn ideas. So that second Gurukula was teaching all these things. So he was very happy, and they were teaching how to defend your ideas and how to argue with logic. Like that 12 years they taught him. And this student got confident. Yes, now I can establish that I am different from God. He wants to establish every individual is different from God. So he came back to the old Gurukula, to that sannyasi's ashrama. He came there. That Swami saw, he is a monk, that Acharya was a monk. So he saw this boy. Hey, 12 years I could not see you. Where you were? No, I went to another Gurukula and studied lot of scriptures. Oh, you studied lot of scriptures? Very good, very good. Now, what is the purpose of coming here? Anything can I help you? The student told, Swami, I want to argue with you. I want to have a debate. I want to establish that I am different from God. I am not God. I want to establish. Then the Swami thought, இன்னைக்கு யார் முகத்துல முழிச்சுன்னு தெரியலையே, பழைய சிஷ்யன் வந்துட்டான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி, so that day he was shaving, having a shave, head shave, and the barber has come. So the Swami told, you please wait, after shaving I will come and sit with you and debate, because you cannot avoid the challenge. In those days the challenge cannot be avoided. So other Shishyas are observing, oh, Swami is avoiding challenge, maybe what he is telling is wrong, like that they may think. So he cannot avoid, he could not avoid the challenge. So he told, please wait and I will shave my head, then come. Then the shaving was happening. After the end of the shaving, the person who shaved, he showed a mirror. In those days there was no big mirrors. Okay, இப்ப இருக்கிற பார்லர் மாதிரி பியூட்டி பார்லர்லாம் கிடையாது. அவர் இருந்தாலும் அப்புறம் சாமி எங்க பணம் இருக்காது அவர்கிட்ட, இஸ் வித்வுட் மணி. ஸோ ஸ்மால் ஒன் ரவுண்ட் மிரர், through that mirror the person who has shaven himself should see whether properly shaved or not. So when the barber showed that, the Swami saw his head, India shines, full of shining, and Tejas has come. So immediately the Swami says to the barber, hey, what a beautiful person you are, you must be something grand. Barber was thinking, what is this? Suddenly he is telling like this. Enna Swami, why you are telling like this? Hey, you have given me extra tejas, extra splendor. You see how my India is shining, and you must be none other than Narayana, God himself. Like that telling, the Swami was about to make prostration. He was about to bow down to the barber. Barber could not, with such a great soul, a monk, a tapasvi is bowing down and touching my feet. So he immediately jumped. What, Swami, have you become mad? I am not Narayana. Don't you know that? He shouted and went out. I am not Narayana. Who says? Barber. How much studies he went through? How many scriptures he learned? Not a single scripture. Okay. So the Shishya who is sitting there for debate, the Swami asked the Shishya, see, I am not Narayana. This fellow knows without even studying one book. And to know I am not Narayana, you spend 12 years. What is the use of that book which can confirm your ideas? Scripture means it should tell something new, which you don't know. I am not God, everybody knows. There is no need for teaching. Got the point? Therefore, the Pramanatvam is Anadhigatatvam. First criterion for Pramanatvam is Anadhigatatvam. I should know something. When I approach my eyes, it should show something which I don't know through other sense organs. When I approach the scripture, it should tell something which my sense organs cannot know. So therefore, my infinite nature is a new revelation about myself. Entire world curses me. Entire world criticizes me from my parent onwards. A idiot, monkey, donkey. So many scolds. All the life I am scolding. Here is a Swami, innocent person, repeatedly telling, you are God, you are God, you are God. Every Sunday he says this. At least for hearing sake, I will go there. You are idiot, you are good for nothing, you are poor, you are illiterate. Like that only every person in the society says. But only a Vedantic Swami says, you are God. In spite of your illiteracy, you are God. In spite of your poverty, you are God. In spite of your bad character, still you are God. So at least for hearing sake, it is new. Correct? It happened in our mutt. I was sitting in the office. From west, a person came. Very bulky, 120 kilograms, maybe more than that. 7 feet and above. And he came and sat in front of me. And he asked, Swami, I am from America. Is there any message from you for me? Like that he asked. Is there any message from your mutt? Is there any message from India for me? Can you give any message? Like that he asked. Then I understood he want to know something about our India, Indian culture and ashrama. Like then yes, I have a message. What is that? You are Bhagavan, you are God Himself. Like that I told. And you may not believe. Immediately with the chair he jumped. With full of he took the chair and jumped. You imagine 120 kilo of person. Hmm. It happened in our office. What? Me? The God? The Lord? Like that. Yes. That's what the message is. Your country wants to say to me? Yes, this is the message. Srinvantu Vishwe Amritasya Putra. That is the message Ramakrishna Mission wants to tell to every individual in the universe. Each soul is potentially divine. The founder says this. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna asked his disciple, hey Naren, if people can see the Lord in a lifeless wooden statue, can't they see the same Lord in a living body? So that is the message of the Ramakrishna Mission to every individual in the world. And I told, being a disciple of this parampara, Guru Parampara, I also have same message. It's wonderful, Swami. It's wonderful, but my wife calls me idiot. Then your teacher, he also accepts that. Like that he started, and I told, all right, whether you understand what I say or not, at least is it not nice to hear? Yes. When I go to church, they say me as a sinner. When I come here, you are telling I am Lord. And he was very happy. I managed to talk to him for like next 20 minutes describing how the possibility is there. Because all, as I told, all are standpoints. From the standpoint of intellect, the person may be idiot or intelligent. From the standpoint of body, the person may be bulky or small. From the standpoint of the color of the skin, the person may be white or black. Correct? Like that, these are all standpoints. Who is that person? If anybody asks, Vedanta has only one answer. The person is infinite divine consciousness. So he became very happy. You imagine he embraced me, took photo with me, and he was telling, I got new life. I came here for business. India has such a treasure of ideas. I never knew. Like that, he turned back to his assistants, the Indian, what do you call, some software engineers they were. So you did not tell all these things. What they will tell poor people? அவர் சம்பளம் வாங்குற ஆளுங்க. You did not tell that India has such an idea. Yes sir, yes sir, that's why we brought here, like that. I am telling is, this is a new news for a suffering mind. Even though the mind doesn't accept, even though the mind doesn't understand, at least it consoles. Yes, I also have some hope. To regenerate my life, I also have some hopeful standpoint. All other standpoints are good for nothing. But this one standpoint seems to be good for everything. And there is one person, at least in this creation, this Vedantic sannyasi, a monk, respects me just seeing that standpoint. So it is anadigatam, new revelation. Okay, whether this revelation can be negated or not, we have to verify. Abaditam. If it is negated, then it is useless. Correct? So somebody says, you are rich, you are rich, you are rich. The next 5 minutes, you go for begging. So you are rich is a revelation. It is negated by your life. Correct? By your action. Can you negate this revelation that you are infinite? You can never negate. I am small. You can never say. My body is small. You can say. I am dying. You can never say. Body is dying. You can say. But I die. I am born. I am going to die. I am small. I am rich. nothing you can say. You cannot connect the word I am with anything in the creation. It's all standpoints. It's all standpoints. I stands separately. Aham, aham, aham. And it mingles with everything, but at the same time, in during sleep, sushupti, what you say? Aham, aham, aham. You enjoy your presence without having even an iota of money, without having even an iota of sense pleasure, even having even a single person in your life. You enjoy your existence where? In deep sleep. That's why every day you want to go to that state. Without person, object, situations, I can exist. And that existence is fortunately happy existence. That's why when I get up from that, I don't want to get up. I put the alarm into snooze. Yeah? Alarm like that. We hit the head of the alarm and they ask it to snooze. Unfortunately, we cannot exist eternally in that state. So prarabdha makes us to wake up. Prarabdha, internal prarabdha, external prarabdha. Internal prarabdha is our papa punya. External prarabdha, our children, wife, and get up, get up, get up. That's external prarabdha. என் பிராரப்தம் வந்து தொலைச்சியேடா அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவார் அப்பா. Early morning, if a child makes the father to get up, what father will tell? என் பிராரப்தம். It is my prarabdha. So, you exist as an infinite entity. This revelation can never be negated either by your sense organs or by the mind. All the opposition for this revelation is nothing but a standpoint. What are all the oppositions? No, I am small, I am big, I am poor, these are all oppositional ideas, correct? Opposition ideas of opposition party, but all these ideas are negated if you little bit think. Therefore, it is abaditam, unnegatable truth. Then, whether it is useful for my life, is it useful for my life? It is the only useful thing for your life. What is the only useful thing for your life? That I am infinite, that knowledge that I am infinite. I am one with the Lord. I am the embodiment of security. I am the embodiment of happiness. I don't require anything to be happy in this world. Others may require my presence. I don't require anybody's presence. I don't require any objects, presence of any objects, any situations. Whether they are or they are not, I am happy. Where we see this? We see in some fortunate people's life. We see in the life of Bhagavan Sri Ram Krishna. We see in the life of Mother Sharada Devi. We see in the life of Swami Vivekananda type of people. They did not have anything. What you call big thing, possession, people and conducive atmosphere, none of these things they had. If you go to Dakshineshwar and if you see the place where Holy Mother Sharada Devi lived, it's not even 6 feet. It is not even 6 feet. A person cannot stretch his leg. In that situation, she lived for nearly 20 years. And if you ask Holy Mother Sharada Devi, where you were happy, she says, I was very happy, as though Amrita Ghata, the pot of Amrita was kept on my head. What made her to be happy? She cannot come even for natural call. She cannot come for at least 16 hours in a day. She cannot come out from her room, even to fulfill the nature's call. Imagine. She will go to the room after taking bath and finishing her morning ablution. She will enter the room 5 o'clock up to 7 o'clock, up to the sunset. She cannot come out. You imagine what will be the pain, at least at physical level. But still she says, I was very happy. You ask Bhagavan Sri Ram Krishna, he was suffering from throat cancer. And doctors are telling, don't talk, don't talk. And Sri Ram Krishna was talking for 20 hours. Even a person with good throat also cannot talk 20 hours. But he was told that he was talking 20 hours about the Lord, about this what he called spiritual nature of humanity. He was teaching to Swami Vivekananda to spread this message of spiritual nature to the humanity. He was crying, oh, little pain. Like that he was crying. Yogin Maharaj, Swami Yogananda Maharaj was next to him. Aha, nicely you are doing drama. Disciple says. Then the Guru says, Sri Ramakrishna says, hey, don't tell to others. Don't tell to others. What is drama? Crying that I am with pain is the cry. Disciple says it is good drama. Guru also says, yes, yes, it is drama, don't tell to others. Who is telling? With throat cancer. Suppose a patient is there suffering in hospital, you are going to see him and he is crying, oh, lot of pain. You go and tell this. Aha, nice dialogue you are telling, sir. What he will do? Hey, Manshinaya ni. He will ask, are you human being? He will ask, na? But here you see Sri Ramakrishna, yes, yes, what you found is truth. Don't tell to others. What you found? You found that in spite of my cancer, I can be happy. I am happy. So therefore, it is the most useful knowledge. What is the knowledge? I am not this small, filthy body. I am not this dying body. I am not any of these things in the creation. I stand separate with the word aham, aham, aham. I go with every word, every statement, but I don't attach myself with any statement in the creation. That is the knowledge, most useful knowledge. Therefore, Vedanta proves all the three criteria. Vedanta proves its validity by fulfilling all the three criteria. What it reveals is new. What it reveals cannot be negated by any modern science or any person in the creation, including our own sense organs. And what it reveals is exactly useful for our life. Therefore, Vedanta is valid source of knowledge when it says that you are Satya Vastu, you are Purna Vastu. It means something other than what you understood. Whenever we use the word I, we use the word with a particular standpoint. I am bulky with body stand. I am idiot with mind stand. I am poor with money standpoint. But when Vedanta says when Vedanta says, it doesn't mean any of these things. It means something other than this. And that is our spiritual nature. Therefore, Vedanta is the primary source of knowledge. What it reveals is valid. And if a person says, all these things I cannot accept. நீ சொன்ன பிறகு சொல்லுவான் எல்லாம் இவ்வளவு தூரம் தெளிவா நிதானமா this much Vedanta parampara, this much takes pain to explain how the validity of sense organs, what are all the valid criteria for the validity of sense organs, what are all the criteria for the validity of Vedanta, both are same. But the mind is there, na? The gutter mind will not accept. It will go by only sense organs. That is the power of Bhagavan's Maya. Mama Maya Duratyaya, Bhagavan says. Everybody believes in the validity of sense organs, correct? Including the child. Even a child believes the validity of sense organs. Child says, Mummy, there is a blood. How you know? I am seeing. That means what? Seeing is equal to knowing, correct? Hearing is equal to knowing. So everybody naturally believes, takes for granted that whatever my sense organs show is a fact. But very few people can can know the validity of words coming from a valid source. These words are whose words? Bhagavan's words. Yo brahmanam vidadati purvam यो वै प्रहिनोति तस्मै तंह आत्मबुद्धि प्रसादम मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये. These are all the words of the Lord given to Chaturmukha Brahma, given to the first citizen of this creation. Words have value. Words are very, very valuable. If a child wants to know who is its father, can any sense organ show? Only words of the mother. Only pramanam for the fatherhood of every individual is what? Words of the mother. Mother alone can say, no DNA test, no test can prove that so and so is the father of so and so. No test. Only mother's words can prove. After mother's words, you can have some samples from this person, that person has DNA sample. If nobody knows, nobody told who is my father, can I verify everybody's DNA in the entire creation? Is it possible? So only pramanam for knowing anybody's father is whose words? Mother's words. Mother has to say, so and so is your father. If mother doesn't know or doesn't say, the child is called orphan. Correct? The worldly called worldly mother. The physical mother shows our physical father. The spiritual mother, who is none other than Shruti. Sahasra matrubihi hitaishini Shruti. Even 1,000 mothers cannot do that much of goodness for every individual. That much goodness is done by Vedanta, scripture, that is Shruti, because it is Lord's words. Bhagavan comes in the form of scripture and shows to the humanity that your real origin is not this physical father, but the spiritual one. So therefore, we cannot doubt the validity, because doubt is possible before verification. After verification, doubt is not possible. We have verified whether Vedanta stands this crucial test called Anadigata Abhadita Arthavata Jnanam. So we should take for granted, as we should take for granted that our sense organs are valid. Similarly, as a seeker of freedom, first I should take for granted that Vedanta is Pramanam. It is the final word. That's why one who has this what you call knowledge is called Shraddhavan. Bhagavan Krishna says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. As long as you consider Vedanta as a simple book, this knowledge is impossible. Therefore, we have to take this as a final word, because it has gone through all the verifications, all the questions. What is the final truth about myself? I am infinite, but my sense organs show that I am finite. Which is right? Which is right? I have to do that vichara. That vichara is called Atma Vichara or Vedanta Vichara. If you go through the process in course of time, you will know what Vedanta reveals is a fact. That Atma Vichara comes in 3 stages: Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. We will see those 3 stages in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.